All right, I had to trudge through a lot of trouble to bring you this 49ers update, but here it is, right on time. You take a look at Mac Jones and Christian McCaffrey right there. 49ers beat the New Orleans Saints, but Kyle Shanahan's conference call is finished, and we just got news of a Jauan Jennings injury, ankle injury. It sounds like it's going to be day-to-day this week, but the main thing is they're going to have to keep on evaluating him over the course of the week. And then just like there's a couple other injuries for the 49ers that they're going to be looking at over the course of this week that they're saying, Spencer Burford is another one of them. They're saying that they're going to have to see how it heals over the course of the first few days before they know exactly what the return timetable is going to be. So the evaluation really hadn't started, I think, on this Jauan Jennings injury. It did seem that he was fine in the locker room yesterday in New Orleans, but for him and the ankle, for Spencer Burford and the knee, it's going to be a constant day-to-day evaluation as the 49ers return to practice on Wednesday. Kyle Juszczyk and Siran Neal, both in the concussion protocol for the 49ers, and Ben Bartch, the offensive lineman who was in the walking boot, saw him yesterday in the locker room. He has a high ankle sprain. That means he's going to be out several weeks. That opens the door for the rookie left guard, Connor Colby, to take over that left guard position for the 49ers. Kyle, right now on the conference call, said that Connor Colby really impressed the 49ers, did a good job in about 36 snaps, pass blocking snaps, did not allow a single pressure yesterday. So a clean sheet for the rookie out of Iowa. He now has his opportunity to start at left guard. The 49ers delivered their best O-line performance of this very young season yesterday. This was their best pass protecting performance since 2022. You can see it up there on the San Francisco Standard. Those are my grades, and we're going to go through all of them. I gave the offensive line here. Spoiler alert. We're going to scroll down, and you're going to be able to see the entirety of the offensive line grades. Let's go down here. Running back, fullback, wide receiver, tight end. They got a B. Look at offensive line. Look at the grade for them. A+ for San Francisco's offensive line. You know, Connor Colby had a great game, but even Ben Bartch, when he was in there for 10 snaps, was one of the 49ers' 6 highest graded offensive players from Pro Football Focus. So every single one of these guys played his ass off, and the 49ers protected Mac Jones as a result. They're working against a lot of 5- and 6-man fronts, so the running success wasn't great, but Christian McCaffrey actually enjoyed the best success rate of his career, 69.2% running success rate for Christian McCaffrey. So that measures how often a running back sees a positive EPA play. So it doesn't measure explosiveness, it measures consistency. And the offensive line was consistently able to open up at least 3 yards for the 49ers yesterday. I know there were a couple instances where that didn't happen, and I know that they weren't great with the explosive runs, but the 49ers definitely were consistent when it came to producing positive yardage in the run game yesterday, and that's why Christian McCaffrey had such a high success rate. So that's the 49ers injury situation. I think that we can open up the 49ers depth chart right now and take a look at it. Get this open on the screen bigger for you guys. And we can start to shade the players who are hurt for San Francisco. So Jauan Jennings, Ben Bartch. As you can see, Bartch with a high ankle sprain, that could theoretically land him on injured reserve because the high ankle sprain timetable is usually at least a month. So 4 games is injured reserve. If the 49ers feel that they need an extra roster spot, they'll do that. Connor Colby down here is going to slide over to that left guard spot instead of Ben Bartch. Drew Moss is still a developmental player, but the 49ers wanted to protect him from being poached, so he's on the 53-man roster. But Colby is very obviously the next man up. Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback, dealing with concussion protocol. So that's going to be a day-to-day thing over the course of this week. And then specialist Siran Neal is also in concussion protocol. And I have to use this as a chance to shout out to the 49ers special teams unit, which was damn good for San Francisco over the course of this game. Following there was an early punt return that they allowed too much yardage on, and then obviously Eddie Pinheiro missed his first extra point. But after that, it was lights out for the special teams unit, especially the punt coverage unit. The last two punts from Thomas Morstead, playing in his final game in the Superdome. He played for the Saints for over a decade. The last two punts pinned the Saints deep in their own territory and set the table for the 49ers defense to close out this game. So Saran Neal, he's a special teams ace for the 49ers. This would be a significant loss if he's unable to pass through concussion protocol this week. All right. So last week at this time, I was in Seattle. We did it from Kerry Park, this grades video, and then the Brock Purdy injury story came down. This week, it's a very different situation. And I told you guys that I had to really go through a lot of difficulty to be on time for this update. Shame on the Nashville airport, not because I wasn't able to fly on time. I was able to fly from New Orleans to Nashville on time. But then when I got to the airport, it was impossible, absolutely impossible to get an Uber. So this is a friend that I met. His name is Jason, on the shoulder of the freeway on-ramp. This is us walking through 95-degree weather and through traffic to get out of the airport. Apparently there was some kind of construction going on, and this was worse than LAX has ever been. And I know that's a bold statement, but all three levels, they didn't plan for this. Somebody didn't realize that you have to plan for a construction closure. All three levels of this airport were at a complete standstill. So this is like a mile away from the airport, walking across the freeway. Thankfully, Jason was able to walk me all the way to where his wife was parked on the other side of the freeway, and they gave me a ride. I had taxi drivers, as I was walking through traffic, offering for me to get into their car. And I said, why? Do you want me to pay you just so I sit in traffic? Like, you're not getting out of this. You're going to be stuck here for 3 hours. It was one of the most brutal things ever. I am absolutely putting the Nashville airport on blast because that was a complete and total embarrassment. If you don't have to fly that airport, don't do it. Don't support them. They don't deserve the support. They're pilots that were walking on the sidewalk in 100-degree weather from the freeway trying to make their flight. This is going to have downstream effects across the entire nation. They need to get it together. That was not a good operation. Not as good of an operation as the 49ers yesterday. This was a smooth operation considering the fact that a lot of this 49ers roster actually still is under construction, or at least they're under renovation because of some of these injuries. But up on the San Francisco Standard, we have the full look at grades. Here you go. We're going to go through every single position group and their grades for the 49ers in this game with a lot of good statistical tidbits for you. As you could tell, I have barely had a chance to settle in. I had to set up the camera. We've made it to the studio. That's all good. But unfortunately, I haven't had time to prepare some of the graphics for the screen. So as this show progresses, I'm going to be doing that as we speak. I think Mike is at the dentist's right now, but Mike made the thumbnail and we're good to go. So first, for quarterback, as we look at these 49ers grades, take a look at this. I know that there's talk about Mac Jones and how he might compare to Brock Purdy. Well, you want to be further to the right and further up. And the 49ers are extremely blessed right now. Hashtag blessed for the 49ers because they have two quarterbacks who are above average performers. There are teams like the Vikings and the Browns who don't have a single quarterback who is an above average performer, or the Titans, not going too well for them. But for the 49ers, you want to be up and to the right here. They've got Purdy in a really good spot. And, up too is going to be the less subjective thing. The vertical axis is efficiency. So the higher up you can be in efficiency, the better you're actually performing. PFF offensive grade is on the x-axis. And we like PFF, like the good friends. They help us contextualize some things. But when it comes to quarterback grading, what I really like objective data. I really like to see, okay, how is that quarterback actually performing? How do the advanced numbers reflect his play? The only two quarterbacks more efficient in the NFL on a per play basis so far this year than Brock Purdy are Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert. Okay. Mac Jones, meanwhile, is also faring well for himself. Baker Mayfield's a little bit more efficient. Goff, obviously, and Purdy are better. But on the y-axis scale, Mac Jones has been above average, above Lawrence, above Jake Browning, who filled in for Joe Burrow, above Bo Nix, who apparently played decently well yesterday, according to Broncos people who keep on popping up on my X feed after the 49ers joint practice with them. The bottom line is that Brock Purdy is at 0.41 EPA per play, which is really good. Number 3 in the NFL. So he's the third ranked quarterback in the NFL efficiency-wise. Mac Jones, that performance yesterday ranked him 14th. So the 49ers have 2 quarterbacks in the top half of the league, including one in the top 3. That is an excellent situation to be in. I think the 49ers have early claim on best QB room in the entire National Football League. And that's definitely a room that you want to have strong and robust. So there's the picture of Mac. You know, yesterday I wrote this in the article. On third down, Mac Jones was 7 of 12 for 121 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 132.3 rating. So good stuff, especially in those pass-happy third down situations for Mac Jones. But one of the reasons that it was possible is because that 49ers offensive line was downright dominant yesterday. We can go straight down to the O-line grades where they got that A+. 5 of the 49ers' top 6 graded players on the offensive side of the ball were offensive linemen. That's not including Connor Colby. Trent Williams didn't give up a single pressure. I wonder if people still want him to retire. Connor Colby didn't give up a single pressure. Dominic Pooney might be a little hurt, right? He got rolled up on again, only gave up 1 pressure. Listen to this. Colton McKivitz, through 2 games, Colton McKivitz, the 49ers right tackle who just got paid, is number 6 in pass block grade of all NFL tackles, including left tackles. Through 2 weeks, Colton McKivitz ranks number 6. All qualifying NFL tackles, that's 60-something tackles. He's number 6 out of 60 in pass protection to begin this season. Let's give a summary of where Colton McKivitz has gone over the past 2 years. His first year starting was 2023. Colton ranked near the very bottom of the 60 qualifying tackles. He was like number 58 in pass block grade. Last year, he was number 28. So he went from 58 to 28 through 2 games of 2025. Colton McKivitz is number 6. Can he sustain this? I'm not sure. Is this a very, very promising indicator versus where he was in 2023 and 2024? Hell yes. And is this something that is backed up by the evidence of his improvement trajectory over 2023 to now 2025? Hell yes again. The improvement trajectory was drastic. He ran the hills of San Francisco over the course of this offseason, so the improvement trajectory can continue to be a positive one. And I think that the 49ers, there's a good chance that by the end of this season, they're going to be looking at a truly plus left tackle, Trent Williams, one of the greatest of all time, and a truly plus right tackle in Colton McKivitz. If anybody tries to tell you, and this is the I told you so part of everything, but we got to have it because there's so much online that is just wrong about the 49ers. They don't invest in the offensive line. Well, the last 2 years, the 49ers have used draft picks on 2 starting offensive linemen. That is Dominic Pooney in the 3rd round of 2024, and now Connor Colby, who's going to start. My prediction has come true. He's going to start on Sunday against the Cardinals. He's going to be the left guard for the 49ers in place of Ben Bartch. So they've used 2 picks on starting offensive linemen. They have given out the biggest O-line contract in NFL history twice to Trent Williams. And they've also paid a homegrown, surging right tackle in Colton McKivitz, who now ranks 6 out of 60-plus tackles through 2 weeks in pass block grade. I think that's an investment. It might not be the biggest investment in the league, but what the 49ers have put into the offensive line over the course of the past 2 years, you can't argue that they have not invested in the offensive line. They definitely have. That right there is considerable spending and it's efficient spending on the line, especially when it comes to the 2 draft picks, Dominic Pooney and Connor Colby. If you can get anything of value from Connor Colby as a 7th round pick, you consider it a win. And they already got 36 clean sheet blocks yesterday in pass protection from Connor Colby. So he's going to start on Sunday. 49ers offensive line gets an A. There you see the grade up on the San Francisco Standard. By the way, well, I don't know if Mike, I think, is still at the dentist. I don't know if I put the link to this in the description, but what I will do is I will put the link to this in the comment section. So if you want to check out these grades on the San Francisco Standard, the link to them is right here. Just on the bottom of the screen, you could go into the chat section. So that is how you can support both the channel. You could become a member. You could hit the subscribe button, but you could also check out this right here, this written work where we're delving deep into everything. Now, yesterday I gave everybody the defensive line graphic. So we'll move over to the line. Bryce Huff, my goodness. Fastest get off in the NFL for Bryce Huff in 2023 when he played for the Jets. You know, I was talking with Nick Bosa about this yesterday in the locker room. Philly obviously didn't use Bryce correctly. They try to make him a 3-down defensive lineman. He is an edge rushing specialist. This is somebody who likes to pin his ears back and get after the quarterback. And that's why he's a closer. But it wasn't just the closing play yesterday. Bryce Huff had 5 pressures in this game. Bosa had 6. Huff had 5. Yetur had 2 more pressures. They got pressure from Upton Stout, who was blitzing from the nickelback position. I mean, but this right here, this graph featuring Bryce Huff on it, I mean, this is big time from Bryce. If you need this a little bit bigger, I'll get it for you a little bit bigger. I understand that sometimes it's a little bit tough to see. Let's get this across the whole screen. Here you go. This is average distance from the quarterback at the time of release. The league average is 4.57 yards. Bryce was at 3.24 with the way that he flew around the edge. Bosa took more double teams yesterday. And when that happens, if Bryce Huff in pass rushing situations can make the opposition pay, it's a completely different story for this 49ers defense than in especially 2024. They got Chase Young in 2023. He brought a bit of a bookend, but Young was counted on to be an every down guy, and he wasn't great against the run. Huff is not counted on to be an every down guy because they have Mykel Williams. Mykel was awesome against the run yesterday. So they've got Robert Saleh and Chris Kasarik have to be in their bag this year, and they are in their bag this year. It's been one of the most fun things to watch, seeing this defensive line get after it from a creativity standpoint. Bosa was lined up at tackle yesterday on some pass rushing situations with Huff out on the edge. Mykel and Bosa pushing the middle of the pocket with power, especially length from Mykel. Yetur, Bryce Huff on the edges. If I'm an offensive coordinator or an opposing offensive line coach getting ready to take on the 49ers, I'm not sure what their pass rush combinations will be. And that makes it really hard to prepare my offensive linemen for how they're going to block. What kind of moves they're going to have to take on, because the 49ers have a very diversified skill set of pass rushing arsenal up front. Mykel's bringing that length. Bosa's bringing pure power, but he's got the hand finesse as well. Huff is bringing speed. I mean, just absolute get off. And I think Yetur is a good combination of everything for San Francisco. So that how they line up in that NASCAR package is anybody's guess now that we're seeing Bosa at a bunch of different spots. And I think that it's a good way for the 49ers to try to make up for the fact that they don't quite have a dominant, long interior rusher at this point. Alfred Collins is going to try to develop into that. Kalia Davis has had some flashes, but he's not a long player. He's more of a stack linebacker turned into a defensive tackle kind of guy. If they could develop Sebastian Valdez from the practice squad, obviously. They're looking at CJ West as a depth piece right now, trying to earn a few more snaps. Alfred, by the way, Collins, the second-round pick, went from 9 snaps in game 1 to 24 yesterday. So the trust in him is growing. The 49ers hope that by the end of this season, that interior line is more robust once those players are polished in there. I'm talking about Collins and CJ West specifically. But for the time being, you've got to go to here. Let's take a look at the depth chart so you can better visualize how this interior line looks. For the time being, you're going to have to rely on a Jordan Jefferson, on and that's somebody who hasn't been active yet, but they're developing him. They picked him up off of waivers from Jacksonville. Jordan Elliott, Kalia Davis, CJ West, Alfred Collins. I should probably even slide Alfred Collins above Jordan Jefferson in this depth chart. Let's move Jordan over here because Alfred has been active and Jordan Jefferson has not. To make the font a little bit bigger. Jordan has been a waiver claim pickup, so we can highlight him in teal. This is a more accurate representation of what that 49ers D-line room looks like right now. Your starters are Elliott and Davis, Collins and West behind them. Jefferson has been the inactive for that position group as the 49ers move to week 3. All right, we're going to go more grades. What did I give the defensive line? What do you guys think the defensive line deserves? Forgot what I gave them. I gave them a B, so you can see right here. O-line A+, D-line B, linebacker. Oh boy, there's D Winters. I gave him an A. The reason it's not an A+, because Warner's playing at a Hall of Fame level, but the reason that this linebacker unit's not an A+ is because Winters had a bad penalty. That was a losing penalty, the one where he pushed Spencer Rattler out of bounds. But both Warner and Winters scored over 90 in coverage grade. I think, the 49ers can say that they have the best QB room in the league with Purdy and Mac Jones. I think that they're in obvious contention at the very least for that. I think that they're close to ceiling best linebacker room in the league. Warner's unquestionably the best linebacker in NFL. Fred Warner, he is Superman on the field. He's taken his game up to another level. He either tied or broke 2 records from Patrick Willis yesterday. And Warner still has a lot of career in front of him. Knock on wood. You want everybody to stay healthy. But he has never been better than he is right now. And you should just sit back and, sometimes we say, how come we don't appreciate or realize that we're in the good old days until they're over? I think a lot of people thought that with Patrick Willis. And then he retired at the age of 30. And it just like the whole Harbaugh era for the 49ers ended much more quickly than I think a lot of people expected it to end, right? And then 2016, the Tom Sula, the Chip Kelly eras come in, and those were year-long stretches. Thankfully, they weren't eras that lasted longer than 365 days, but it was like, damn, the 49ers really did have it good. Who's got it better than us? Went out the window, and I think it made people realize, oh boy, those were some golden years. Anyway, you are watching one of the greats to have ever done it in Fred Warner. I wrote in this piece up on the San Francisco Standard that if Fred Warner is not a Hall of Fame lock yet, every single game brings him closer to that status. That's how good it is from Fred Warner right now. I mean, the pass breakup yesterday on Jauan Johnson. Jauan Johnson played receiver in college. 6'4". The 49ers were struggling to cover him with safeties yesterday because Marquise Siegel's only 5'11". So Jauan scored a touchdown. Jauan Johnson, not Jennings. Jennings did score a touchdown too, but Johnson scored one on size, right? Working against the 5'11 Siegel. In crunch time, Robert Saleh had Fred Warner cover Jauan Johnson. So that's Warner covering somebody with a receiver's background who's 6'4", and Warner's 6'4" as well. There's a reason why Warner is bionic. Like, this is a bionic man. It's because he's 6'4", and he could run like receivers. He can obviously take the ball away like the best of them in the entire league. Yesterday's forced fumble. Alvin Kamara doesn't fumble. Like, it's only happened, you can count it on 2 hands, the amount of times Alvin Kamara has fumbled. But he fumbled when Fred Warner hit him. Warner on a fractured ankle. He played through a fractured ankle for 2/3 of the season in 2025 or 2024 last year, is better than 95% of the linebackers in the league. Philadelphia fans are like, oh yeah, we have Zach Bond. Zach Bond cannot hold a candle to anything that Fred Warner can do on the field. And that's just an objective fact. I just want everybody to sit back and appreciate what they are watching with Fred Warner, because it is true greatness out on the field. This is a first ballot Hall of Famer. This is he's going to go down as one of the best to ever play the position, and it's happening in front of you. He is getting better as we speak, and he's on his third contract now, and he's still getting better. That only happens with like 0.00001% of players in the NFL, especially at high contact positions like linebacker. Anyway, Warner's got a protege now in D. Winters, and this is relevant. And, everybody loves Dre Greenlaw. Everybody in the 49ers building loves Dre Greenlaw. I think 49ers fans love Dre Greenlaw. I saw him. I got to wish him well when they came through Levi Stadium this year for the joint practice with the 49ers. Epic moments that Dre Greenlaw delivered in a 49ers uniform. I remember a pick six against the Detroit Lions. I remember the stop against Jacob Hollister up in Seattle in 2019. The 49ers let Dre Greenlaw go, and the cold-hearted reality of the matter right now is that Dre has yet to play a snap for the Denver Broncos in 2025. Meanwhile, the guy up on your screen, D. Winters, has been borderline dominant for 2 games for San Francisco. So you could see the 49ers thinking here. They did have interest in bringing Dre back, but obviously at an abbreviated price, obviously at a price lower than the one the Broncos were willing to offer. And Dre ultimately chose to go to a place where he could be the guy. But the reason that the 49ers were not fully gung-ho in their pursuit of Dre Greenlaw was because of health concerns moving forward, availability concerns moving forward. And those concerns right now through 2 weeks are coming to fruition in Denver. Meanwhile, the improvement of D. Winters gave the 49ers confidence in their Greenlaw stance. And the improvement of D. Winters has absolutely been this huge amount, like gust of wind at the 49ers sails. And aside from the penalty, you don't want to emulate Dre in that regard. I know Dre picked up a lot of personal foul penalties, but aside from the penalty yesterday, D. Winters was epically good. When Robert Saleh and George Kittle said that violence was coming, I think a lot of what they were talking about was D. Winters. The guy is not afraid to hit. He can cover over a 9. We already knew he could cover when he was blanketing DK Metcalf last year. It was about the physicality and his ability to stay healthy through some of the big-time hits that happen at the NFL level. D. Winters has absolutely shown that he's ready to deliver some bruises, and now it's going to be about sustaining that over the course of the long run. Linebacker was what I gave him an A, and the only reason it's not an A+ is because of the personal foul. You'll notice here that only 2 linebackers played in this game for the 49ers yesterday. Luke Gifford started week 1 and only played on special teams, did not play as a linebacker for San Francisco against the Saints. The 49ers introduced a new position called the big nickel. We moved to safeties, and that's where Jair Brown, who had been benched in favor of Jason Pinnock and Marquise Siegel, slotted in. So Jair Brown played at a big nickel spot, but only for 7 snaps. Where'd the rest of the snaps go? Well, Upton Stout played on 56 snaps as the small nickel. So big nickel, Jair Brown. Little nickel, small nickel is Upton Stout at 5'8". But he plays much larger than his size. They love blitzing him. They love him in run support. There are great plays. There are mistakes coming from Upton Stout. The 49ers will take both of them right now happily because they think this guy's developing into a hell of a player, into a Swiss Army knife for Robert Saleh. But what has happened is that the bigger linebacker, the bigger, slower linebacker, and Luke Gifford, who moves well for his size, but the 49ers have said, we want a smaller, quicker player instead of that bigger linebacker, Luke Gifford. They believe that they could better match up with modern offenses if they go with somebody like Jair Brown, if they really need some more heft, but he's still smaller than Gifford or up than Stout in a nickel package, which is what they did more often against the New Orleans Saints. So anyway, I gave the safeties a C for San Francisco because Marquise Siegel and Jason Pinnock both gave up touchdown catches. Jason Pinnock to Devon Vele, and Marquise Siegel gave up the one that I was talking about, the Jawan Johnson. C is average, but still, I mean, New Orleans, despite the fact that they moved the ball in this game, despite that, it was still only 300 yards of total offense and 21 points. It was still a relatively average offensive output at best for the Saints. It's not like they lit the 49ers up. So I might even be a little bit harsh when I grade the 49ers safeties as a C in this game. The penalty against Siegel, I'm counting all that in. That gave the Saints an automatic first down, helped them drive. I'll be a tough grader this year because I think that's what's going to best, I don't think the 49ers read my grades and are encouraged, but I think, when we evaluate the team, that's going to be the most effective way to document how the 49ers improve. And it's fascinating to see this defense evolve in real time, even just positionally with what Robert Saleh is calling. So then we go to special teams. They got a B. Remember last week they got an F. A B, I didn't like the missed extra point for obvious reasons, but I have to give a shout out to Eddie Pinheiro. He has now made 88.3% of his kicks on this 2020, on his career, and that has moved him to 88.3%, which is number 3 all time. He's in this race, this back and forth race with Chris Boswell, who kicks for the Steelers. So if Pinheiro, I know he makes the extra point, and I know that's been an issue for him. He's missed 11 on his career. But if Eddie Pinheiro just keeps on making kicks and Harrison Butker misses one and Boswell misses another, Pinheiro will have solidified himself as number 2 all time behind Justin Tucker. It's amazing to think that this guy was available, but he was waiting to pick his team. Doesn't have the strongest leg, but has an accurate leg, and he's also had whatever it is, focus issues. I don't know what it is, but he's missed 11 extra points, including one yesterday. But I think just worth noting where Eddie Pinheiro is at as a kicker over his career with the 49ers. All right, so quarterback B for Mac Jones. He was solid for San Francisco. Wasn't great, but he was solid. Number 14 efficiency. I mean, I'm grading him on a starter scale because I think that's the best way to compare to Purdy. Purdy was an A in week 1. Purdy was, number 3 efficiency. I don't care how many interceptions you throw. If your efficiency score is that good, thumbs up, because the efficiency score counts interceptions within it, right? So Purdy was excellent in week 1 with worse pass protection against a tougher defense. Mac Jones yesterday, though, did the job in front of him and did it well. 0.17 EPA per play is nothing to scoff at for Mac, and we'll give the 49ers QB a solid B. Running backs, Kyle Juszczyk in that concussion protocol. I'm going to give Christian McCaffrey, Brian Robinson Jr., Juszczyk, and Tonjes. Jake Tonjes played 13 snaps at fullback to help Kyle Juszczyk. And Kyle Juszczyk last week played 15 snaps at tight end, so that adaptability came in handy. I'll give the running backs an A. A lot of 5-man fronts, but McCaffrey had the highest success rate, 69.2% of his career. Tight ends, I'll give him a B. There was no Kittle-like explosiveness, but it was a good performance from Tonjes, Luke Farrell, and Braden Willis. An offensive line, A+. Good stuff from the 49ers. I don't think I did cornerbacks yet. B- for the corners. Renardo got beaten again deep. I think that's something he's going to have to clean up. Upton Stout, again, up and down, won some reps, lost some reps, but I think he won more than he lost. And one of the coolest things about this is Lenore. Lenore has been elite so far this year. He's been in coverage on 72 snaps, and he's given up only 3 catches in those 72 snaps with 16 passing yards against him. As long as people are afraid to throw to Diamond Lenore, he's going to continue putting up sparkling statistics like that, and it won't be possible to snub him from the Pro Bowl for the second straight season. So anyway, those are my grades. I'm opening it up to discussion right now in the comments section. Go ahead and check it out. That's Jones and that's McCaffrey on the headline picture of the grades. You should go check them out on the San Francisco Standard. Injury update for those of you just joining. Jauan Jennings ankle sounds like a day-to-day thing this week. Spencer Burford knee also day-to-day, but both of the day-to-day injuries seem like the 49ers need to evaluate them a little bit more to get a firmer prognosis in. Ben Bartch, high ankle sprain, is going to be out for a while. Sets the table for Connor Colby, the rookie. And Kyle Juszczyk and Saran Neal are both in the concussion protocol this week as the 49ers prepare to take on the Arizona Cardinals. It's the 49ers opened up as 1.5 point favorites. The Cardinals have now swung into the favorites role. I think a lot of it is contingent on whether or not Brock Purdy plays. The 49ers are very clearly better with Purdy. That doesn't preclude Mac Jones from getting the job done, but it's going to be harder against Arizona than it was against the New Orleans Saints. All right, questions? I will now delve into that section. I'm waiting for good ones. Will Nick Martin play this season? I think that it would take probably some injuries for Nick Martin to crack that rotation and continued improvement for him. Martin seems like an ideal redshirt candidate for the 49ers right now, while they're healthy. Now, the injury situation might change. Martin might eliminate some of the mistakes that are keeping him down at the bottom of that linebacker pecking order at the time for the time being. But it's one of those things where you've got Warner, you've got Winters, you're set at the top two unless somebody gets hurt. Your three's Luke Gifford, and you're not even going to your three anymore because you're going with a big nickel setup. And Tatum Bethune is your four. And Bethune is a solid, high floor type of player, even though he's in his second year. So hat tip to Tatum Bethune for being just quietly dependable for the 49ers. Somebody with a wild delta between floor and ceiling like Nick Martin, who played only 4 games last year. Nobody reasonable who follows NFL football expects a guy like that to walk in and just take somebody's job. He's got to develop more consistency. And there's probably going to have to be an opportunity for him to get the game reps to develop that this year. Something, and that usually comes with injury, right? That usually comes when somebody is unavailable. Is Watkins looking good in practice, and can he get some touches this weekend? It's going to be tough for any rookie to get on out there, especially since he missed so much of camp. I will say that MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, his role significantly dipped over the course of the past game. He only had like 7 or 8 snaps for San Francisco. So this is one of those where Jordan Watkins is waiting in the wings for an injury unless we see somebody like Marquez Valdez-Scantling completely fall out of favor. And maybe the Jauan Jennings injury is combined with MVS losing a lot of snap count is what pushes the 49ers to go to a rookie in this game. SF Data Niners had a great one on the 49ers receiving room yesterday. I'm going to the page because this is where we get a lot of good information. I'm going to put this one up on the screen. He's got a nice game recap as well, but I want to see the 49ers receiving summary for this season. Here we go. I might even edit this into the piece when I get the chance. Here's the receiving summary from yesterday with EPA per target on the very right. So look how high Ricky Pearsall is. Jennings might have led the 49ers in receiving, but there were 10 targets on only 5 catches and a couple drops. He wasn't particularly efficient. Pearsall, super efficient. McCaffrey, super efficient. Look at Bourne. 3 targets, 3 catches. That's super efficient. Tonjes, not as efficient yesterday. There's Farrell. EPA is great because he scored that touchdown. But keep a chart like this in mind. It's not just about the raw catch numbers. It's also about the efficiency therein. Stout has not, I wouldn't say Stout has been struggling. Stout had 3 pressures yesterday. He had a sack, he had a tackle for loss, he had another pass breakup. Stout is making plays. He's just a rookie. So there's going to be some downside too. There's no reason to bench Upton Stout. Now, Chase got 6 snaps yesterday. Upton was a little shaken up toward the end of the game, ended up being okay, cleared the injury report today. But no, he's not struggling. It's not a situation where they're going to insert Chase Lucas. Your definition of struggling definitely does not match what the 49ers are saying. Stout has a short memory, which is great. That's what a DB needs to have. All right, homework right now. Head to the San Francisco Standard. The grades are up. Check them out. Just gave you all the 49ers news for this evening, coming off the Kyle Shanahan call. Everybody enjoy Monday Night Football in about an hour. But there's the article. Link is going to be pinned in just a couple minutes. Check it out. Support the cause. Hit the subscribe button. Do all that. We will talk to you very soon.